Hello also to everyone who joined just right now. My name is Mikail Özkaya, and I'm going to present you the features of Symbio 18.05. Today, the features include the new methods with the new facet view strategy, project, product, and learning. The new configuration, which is now productive for all the databases, including the stereotypes for all objects, and we also have the setting up the responsibles for all objects and processes. We also have the features of feature of two-level layout and how you configure the fact sheets for objects. So now I'm going to share my screen for you. I hope you can see it. So as you can see, I'm on a landing page of Symbio, and now I'm going to log in, and you will just now see that the starting page also had changed a little bit. So the main navigation include new views. As you can see here, the strategy, the project, the products, and the learning. We also removed the repository facets. So in this facet, there were roles, inputs and outputs, transaction, etc. And we removed this, and now they include in the facet which are responsible for this object. So for example, in the organization, we included the roles, the system now has the transactions, and so on. In the release notes, we already shared the new organizational view of the facets, and if you now want to have the more detailed view, you can go on our website, go on Symbio World under Services and Knowledge. One second, I have to go to the English website. So under Knowledge, you can download the Symbio method 18.05. And if you want to have more insights about where the facets are, how the objects are connected, you can open this Excel sheet and see, for example, the milestones are included in the projects, as you can see here, or the products are also included in the customer journey map or also in the personas. So how you can set up this project and the new facet views is actually as usual in Symbio. You go to the facet you need, for example, projects. Therefore, we just first need to switch to the editor mode and then go to projects. After that, as usual, you have to select the type, categories, or project. For example, I already set up a category which is called building a project, and under this you can set up a whole new project. For example, let's call it perform a new analysis, and starting up the project is the first thing. So under this project, you can now include the new project phases. So for example, that you first need to do the requirement analysis. Oh. So mistake, pardon. So I'm back there. So again, here back. So on the project, building a project, we have the starting up the project, and here you can now select a phase, for example, requirement analysis. And as you know from Symbio, you now can define more detailed information in the detail content. For example, the important things in projects are the project's start date and the end date, and also the effort. So basically, you can upload a whole project plan with the working package and who's responsible for these projects. This is also this way of setting up the content is also same for the project, for the products, and also for the systems, and also for the new facets like learning and strategy. If you want to know more detailed about how the facet views are connected, just go to the Symbio Excel file, and there you can select the information you need. For example, how the processes are connected with the products. So then let's go on to the new configuration. The new configuration is done by the administrator. Oh, I can see I have to switch to the English version. So before you configure something new, you have to go to the admin area, which is here on the right header, and then go to the configuration, which is called then the extended configuration. This function was already a preview in 1803, but now we have this. Now this function is already productive, so you can use it in your databases. It works like this. You select the type you need. For example, we have the hide function, the rename function, and the add function. For example, you can, if you don't want the facet views to be shown, you can hide the navigation members. You select it as a type, and then you can name it like the facet view you want. For example, we don't want the learning to be seen for the viewer and also for the editor, because we don't need it in our company. Then you set it up, and in the detail content, you then choose the navigation member, which is called here the learning, and then you have the option if to show it just for the editors or to hide it for everyone. So if I would click here, only the editors would see the learning, and so you can hide the facet views for viewers or for editors. Another option we include as the renaming function. So if some content is called differently in your company, just take this type and you can rename anything in Symbio. And then we have the adding function. Here we can add new objects and new attributes. For example, the multi-line text attribute, I call it test. Important is that the name is in capital letters because of the AP name. So if you want to use this new object for example, for the manual, you definitely need to have this in capital letters. So after we renamed this, we have to select the facet, for example, the organization and the organization unit. And after we activate this, the whole new attribute is now for the database activated. So this takes a few seconds until it's done. Let's wait a few seconds. So now it's done. So when we now go to the organization view and select organization unit, for example, here the test. Here, as you can see, the custom attribute is now added with the name ATX custom test. And this name you can use for, as I mentioned, for the manual. If you want to add new attributes, new drop-downs, or other things, this is the right function for the database. A new um, way of detailing something is the stereotypes. We included the stereotypes because there are some companies who have mixed types between, for example, the main process and the sub process. There's a mixed process type, and or for specific objects, if you want to detail them uh, clearly, you can set up the stereotypes, and this is also done in the admin area. We go back to this, and in the same category configuration, we have here the stereotypes. We already included some of the types with some symbols already. So if you want to have a look which new symbols are included, just go to this page, or also in the Excel method file, we also included them. So for example, now I want to set up a new stereotype for the goal type. Let's call it goal type new. And here on the right side on the detail content, you can now add an image, an icon, how you can set up this icon, and how the formats have to be. I'm going to show you afterwards. So I choose the green one now. As you can see, it's now uploaded, and if I go back to the goal type strategy, and if I set up a new goal, for example, just call it like the webinar today, webinar 26, I can select in the detail content the stereotype. It's called the goal type new, and if I go back to the graphical view, I would see this new icon, and here you can see, okay, it's not the best color I choose, but as you can see, the new icon is already in. So how we can set up this stereotypes is basically written down in the docs at Symbio World page. So go on docs.symbioworld.com, and then under articles on the left side, you can choose the stereotypes, and this is then clearly defined how you can create a new stereotype, and let's say which formats and which details it needs to be have to be selected in Symbio. So let's go back to Symbio. Another feature we included in Symbio is that the author and the responsibles are predefined in Symbio. So if you set up a new process, for example, that the author and the process owner is already set up after you define this process. For example, if you choose a main process, the communication process, as you can see, the participants are the author is Paul Manager, and the responsible is Peter Process. And if I'm now setting up a new sub-process, let's call it test, Symbio sets me as the author because I'm logged in as Mikail Özkaya, as you can see, and the responsible from the main process, Peter Process, is now defined as the responsible. So this also works for objects. For example, if I set up a new input, the input author will automatically be the one who is logged in. So this is me. And if you don't want this configuration to be valid for your database, you can just remove it and deactivate it. So it will be as usual that you have to set up the author and the responsible manually. The next feature in Symbio 18.05 is the two-level layout. So this is selectable in the sub-navigation here next to the graphical view. So if you select this, you have the opportunity to see two kind of graphics. For example, on the left side, you see the main process, and on the right side, you can see the sub-process in detail. And depends on what you have chosen, the detail content is updated. For example, now I have the sub-process information here on the detail content, and if I want to have the process steps information, I just click on it and the detail content is updated. Then let's go to the last function. It's the fact sheets. Symbio already had the fact sheets for processes, but now we included them for the objects. So if you want to set up a new graphical view, just go to the admin page. On the configuration again, there is this block of process profiles, and then you set up a new fact sheet. Let's do it for the systems, and you can choose the different kind of widgets here to set this new graphical view up. So we have also the new picture widget and the diagram widget, so you can include various views for your fact sheet. And then this is then automatically selectable if you valid this for the facet. We said we do it for the systems, and let's take it for the system architecture. And if you go to this system facet, you can now select it in the graphical view. So it's not that nice to see it. I just did some blank widgets so you can see how this works, but you can do the corporate identity for this widget and design it like you want. So this was the features of Symbio. Thank you for your attention.